Thank you for all of you for being in the audience. I must first and foremost thank KMPA a lot because, I mean, they, for some reason, apportion a lot of the credit for Print and Beyond to me, which is not sort of, it's a huge team which is working almost for 12 months. And for some reason, I get a lot of the credit. So thank you very much for that. It's always a huge pleasure to come to KMPA, meet Raju Kuti sir, Venu sir, and so many others, Biju, especially because all of us love books. So these are slightly different types of books. In Gujarat, when I go, it's usually checkbooks and passbooks. Here, it's books that are written by literary stalwarts, and to discuss those is great fun. The other reason I am delighted about today's session is the fact that if some of you who are follow cricket, Kerala has entered the finals in the Ranji Trophy, as you're aware, and twice Kerala was able to win, I think last ball something, so with Jammu and Kashmir, and then just 2 days ago with Gujarat. And the reason to mention the Ranji Trophy analogy is because of what cricket does with economy. It's a very, very strange theory, but when the whole India economy boom took off, many people said that Indian cricket and Indian economy have a sort of parallel association. So once upon a time, if you look at our industry, it was largely confined to Mumbai, where all the cricketing stalwarts were, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad. These were also the print cultural states. And then gradually, if you remember, with the advent of people like Dhoni, Raina, all the great fast bowlers, Munaf Patel, Zahir Khan, etc., suddenly the other towns that we started talking of, tier 2, tier 3, they started coming into play. And when IPL took off, suddenly we saw print mushrooming in precisely the same centers where IPL cricketing stars were coming from. And it's an interesting parallel because you actually see boom in consumption of print and packaging products from these centers. So my expectation is that with hopefully Kerala beating Vidarbha, although I'm very fond of Vidarbha as well, as because it's another zone in Maharashtra which needs to have huge amounts of print development. But in case Kerala beats Vidarbha in the Ranji Trophy final, I also expect that there'll be a quantum leap in terms of consumption of print and packaging. That sort of correlation, I think, is going to happen. Anyway, coming to our panel, since everything is set, I'll give the mic back to you. The first question for all three, I know all of you will have come on the shoulder of PrintPack. So PrintPack was, a month ago at Delhi. It was a huge show. It injected a lot of animal spirit into the industry. All three of them, I think, had really busy stalls. I don't think I met any of y'all because y'all seem to be super busy. So we'll start off with Ashok. How was PrintPack, and what is the sense that you got about the industry, the kind of conversations you had? If you can just give us a sense, because it will also outline what the next 12 months are like. Yep.
This is wonderful. It is getting bigger every season when it comes up. It's getting bigger than the previous one. And I thought a lot of conversations that we had revolved around people trying to export their products and compliance and those kind of related queries. So most of the queries were related to that.
Sure. Murali?
This time in PrintPack, we got a lot of inquiries which is related to the sustainability related products and a lot of specialized related products, security portfolios and other things. So usually the commodity products which we are selling, that inquiries will come based on the commercial angle and other things. So this time related to innovative products and sustainability related. So these kind of inquiries, we got it this time. And a lot of footfall was there in our stall, especially in this year compared to the previous years.
Sure. Yeah. Amit, TechNova?
So after Drupa, I think this was again one big event where we saw a lot of crowd, a lot of people coming in. We are seeing these print shows becoming a very focus now. That's one shift. Before COVID, post-COVID, the way the digital technologies have evolved, we are seeing these print shows are becoming very focused. Typically, people who come are serious buyers. There are a lot of discussions around technology. There are a lot of people who actually get into the depth of discussions. It is no longer that people come, they see machines, they go back. In terms of overall technology trends, I think 3 or 4 major trends which are gonna shape, to answer your question, next year. Sustainability obviously is one. It is no longer a fancy word. It is more of a mandate for industry, and everyone has started working towards it. Between digital and conventional, whether it is digital or digital and conventional, that discussion is constantly happening across all the platforms. Third is on the automation and AI, which is driving a lot of stuff in the industry. Everyone has started to realize that somewhere they need to get more automation, more AI into their system. And fourth is obviously improving efficiencies. How people can improve efficiencies. Margins are becoming thinner and thinner. So it is a very high amount of focus on cost. So cost, technology, digital, conventional, AI, automation, and sustainability. These are 4 large levers which would drive the industry in future.
Sure. Yeah. Just a quick follow-up question, because I know at TechNova you are doing a lot of data mining and mapping, and you have the good fortune in a sense of looking at almost 18 to 20 different types of verticals. If you can also for us just give us a sense of which are the print verticals which are performing, which are outperforming compared to the previous year. I mean, newspapers we have certainly seen much improved than what Anil Rego sir alluded to. Books seem to be doing much better than what it was 24 months ago, etc. So again, if you can just give us a sense of what's happening, so that we know what the big numbers are, and then we can get on.
So largely, post-COVID, when we were into that phase of COVID, every one of us started to, build a lot of curves, U curves, V curves, hockey curves, L curves. And we were all going through that phase where we never knew that what will happen actually to the industry. 3 years down the line, Ramu, I can tell you the real change has happened in the industry. So the change which started in COVID, after 4 years, we are seeing the change actually shifting the entire consumer behaviors, the way the industries used to work, the way people used to consume. And what's an impact of that on the print industry? Largely, all the segments of print, whether it is packaging, publication, commercial printing, newspaper, all 4 large segments of the printing business, which is about 120,000 crore industry in India, is stable or growing. So that's one very, very good sign that all segments are stable. Newspapers have come back. Books, I think Anil sir explained the overall numbers very well. We talked about the entire packaging industry, which is doing very, very well. Commercial print industry, we keep hearing that industry numbers are going down. That's actually not the situation. The commercial print industry is moving to tier 2 and tier 3 towns. Okay. The growth has shifted from metros to tier 2, tier 3 towns. In newspapers, growth has shifted from English to vernaculars. Books, growth has shifted from, it's happening in domestic, but there's a large amount of growth coming from export markets. So there is a big shift the way we used to print and where we used to print. But largely, numbers are growing. Packaging industry, based on our estimation, it is growing at about 10 to 15%. Between packaging, monocarton industry is growing 8 to 12%, and flexible is growing at 12 to 15%. Growth in flexible is higher at this point of time than monocartons. Publication markets, digital and conventional put together, is growing at about 8 to 10%. Newspapers are at about 4 or 5%. Commercial printing again about 6, 7%. So it's growing at a healthy 7, 8% on an average. That's a number we see. But there are a lot of shifts in the way industry is placed.
Yes. Ashok, would you want to add to that? Because I mean, I was, as part of this panel discussion, I was paying attention to some of the comments that were coming out of Pidilite, and I think your chairman was on one of the business channels, and he said that overall, industry scenario, etc. And quite unexpectedly, he sort of highlighted the fact that how the adhesive business, especially our verticals, actually been a kind of silent dark horse. So something that you would like to spotlight?
So the B2B part of Pidilite, we have grown over 20%.
Correct.
And that's sequentially
Yeah,
over the last couple of years. And insofar as what Amit mentioned, the industry that we serve, in the paper converting industry, the monocarton space is directly linked to the FMCG industry. So FMCG industry, we speak of about 6 to 7% volume growth. So that is going to translate into monocartons in this packaging converting industry.
Sure.
Flexibles is going much faster, okay, for obvious reasons. Shipper boxes, which is another key part of this industry, and it's growing at 15-20%. And that's what we see, because that's directly related to the entire industry consumption. That's not related to packaging alone. So most of our investments are directed at these three areas. So we're getting into coatings, for instance, which goes into flexible packaging in some way. We are getting into, we are expanding our range for monocartons.
Sure.
And as well as shipper boxes, we see a lot of automation happening now. And the amount of machinery happening, automation happening is staggering over the last 3-4 years. And we are investing further into that.
Sure, sure. So again, I'll follow up with you, Ashok. The notions somewhere in the back of all our minds is that adhesive as a consumable has always been one constant factor which is, lurking in the background somewhere. But astounding, not just Pidilite, but even the other, whether it's the MNC majors or, 3 of the Indian companies who are performing in this space, all extremely robust in that sense. So just want to get a sense that what is really happening to this humble adhesive? Innovation, is it product development, or is it sort of being a little more nimble in terms of, catering to the product lines that are happening? Because factories being added, I can see that almost every quarter you're like a dozen products, each of y'all are announcing. So there's something that's constantly churning, and there's obviously a brain that's working behind it in tune with the industry, with these numbers that you've sort of cited just now.
Yeah. So basically, adhesives typically in the converting industry is only 2 to 3%.
Correct.
But it's a huge nuisance value. If something goes wrong, then the entire thing breaks down. So customers recognize that in some industries they don't really mess around with it. They try to use the best products available. And adhesives are being increasingly used across multiple industries now. Something of importance is the paper bag industry, which is just not there. And because of the renewable focus given by the government, you have a lot of new industries coming up.
Sure.
So adhesive volumes are growing for sure. Okay. And you'll see both us as well as our competitors, investing and expanding the plants. And all our global competitors are here. So you'll see a lot of action in this industry.
Sure. And the Vapi factory, is that this year or last year?
Vapi plant was started last year. We've invested about 70 crores in the most state-of-the-art hot melt plant in India today. So we can churn out up to 12,000 tons per annum.
That's right. That's huge. That's massive. And it's also not something in isolation, as you said, that the others are also doing it. So the numbers. Murali, just to you, Avery's not been quiet. I know that there's been factory addition, there's been lots of things. So there are 2 things that sort of struck me at PrintPack. One was what you're doing in terms of security solutions, and secondly, what you're doing in terms of the outreach with brands. Again, much more active, much more vocal. So again, if you can share that, because the application game seems to be changing quite a bit.
As per the expansion which is concerned, so we added a new unit in Noida.
Correct.
So with around 270 crore rupees investment, we have come up with the fastest coating plant in Asia Pacific, I can able to say, even faster than this China. And the label, specifically the industry, like which you asked. So nowadays label is no more only the label which is giving information, reading and other things. So label is started doing the functionality also, and then it is giving a brand protection also to the industries. The brand protection which we are talking about, we are closely working with the brands, and whatever the problems which they are bringing to us, so we are giving the solutions to them. So the brand is coming up with the problem, so the problem would have been come across with some other brand already with us based on our experience. So we are giving that expertise to them. And we have a Insight X, which is a concept which we are working, where brand can able to approach us, we can able to give a solution to them jointly. We can able to bring it.
What I want to actually ask you about is my favorite part of Avery. I know the factories are there in Kurkum and Noida and all that is, but what you all call, I think, the iLab, iLab,
Yes.
which is in Singapore, and now, of course, you have one in the outskirts of Pune.
Yes.
And for those of you not aware, I would request you that, next time you're traveling to Western India, do visit the iLab. And Murali will, of course, tell us a little more about it. It's an interesting space in terms of understanding concepts and how the technology works, as opposed to just machines being sold, etc. So if you can just throw some light on what you do with iLab and what transpires there.
The iLab which we are having is mainly related to this RFID business. So the iLab which we are having will give the complete idea about the RFID, how it is working, how the enabling is happening, how the decoding and then encoding is happening, how the RFID label is functioning in the industry. So the entire setup is there, so that we can able to practically experience that in the unit. So we have a dedicated lab in Pune plant, Ranjangaon plant, we have that. And nowadays this RFID, earlier it was only in the retail branding like your garment industry and other things. Now it has got started in healthcare, logistics, so a lot of solutions is required based on this iLab. And apart from this iLab, we started an total digital solution providing company also. So this one of our vertical is giving a complete solution to the industry based on the RFID solutions. So that also we started.
Sure. So I'll just add to what Murali says. So in addition to the iLab, what you have is, I think, 2 machines running there, fully live.
Yes.
One is a Gallus and one other sort of tech machine. Then you have tech tutorials that go on. Then you also have sort of branding options which are there. And in addition to that, I think they've simulated 3 types of department stores.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, yes. Sir. So we have a complete departmental store where you can able to understand how this RFID is working in the unit. And what Ramu sir is saying is related to the knowledge center which we are having. So we can able to completely run the product from the pre-press operation till the post-press label dispensing unit. So till that complete setup is there with us. So and we are providing the training also to the industry people. So monthly 2 days calendar training is there. And every year we are training more than 300-350 people in that industry based on the need. And apart from that, customer visits also we are allowing for.
Correct, correct. You're doing something similar in a sense in Turbe. So, yeah.
So we have put up a experience center in Turbe where we have installed HP Indigo machine. It's a 6K machine designed for label and flexible packaging application. What we typically do in our experience center, we invite all the large brands, we invite all the packaging customers, we invite all the converters who come on the same platform. The access is free, access is for everyone. People who come there, they build their own designs, they print on the digital machines, they take those designs back, they do the test marketing. So it is basically a lab created for people to develop the packaging designs, brands to experiment, do test marketing. It has been a great success. We continue to get a lot of requests from the industry for people to come visit. We've been able to kind of do a lot of innovations, a lot of creativity around it. Avery Dennison has been supporting us. There are a lot of other large brands who've been working with us. So it's been a good experience for converters because digital, Ramu, is one technology where still the awareness is very, very low. And for anyone to jump into any new technology solution, they need little confidence, they need to understand a business model, and that's where our experience center comes very handy when they can visit, they can spend time, they can do experimentation. And once they are convinced about the technology, they take a call to move forward with the business models. That's what we've been doing.
So 2 questions basically for Murali and you. I mean, there are some numbers. I think even Anil of Trigon had shared some numbers which were kind of interesting. Plus, we are looking at the kind of CAGRs for digital print, and again, they are double-digit, very high, etc. But at the same time, the numbers are not adding up in terms of units and penetration. So, I mean, we are in the land of digital print. This is the sort of state which adopted it first and moved really fast, and the adoption and the kind of work that's done is extraordinary. What is the barrier? I mean, everybody's been talking of this. Including Pranav Bhai in 1995 has been talking of the great, digital print era. It's what now, 30 years? Yeah. So why has India not sort of grabbed it with both hands? It would seem like the logical thing. That's also a question for you, Murali.
I think to answer your question, Ramu, we will have to see digital with a larger view, okay. Mr. Parekh, when he started his digital journey in 95, TechNova was the first company to get Indigo in India. It was not HP Indigo, it was Indigo.
Correct.
And he tells us stories when there used to a machine come in a container, the two operators used to come in that container. And 97 that Indigo got sold to HP. So the larger side, the digital has started, is getting into the next inflection curve. So the whole technology is growing at a very rapid pace. Let's look at segment by segment. Today, the print segment, then very briefly, photo. One segment which was on conventional printing, 90% has moved digital.
Shifted.
It's all printed on HP Indigos on Konica Minolta. One complete shift from silver halide to Indigos and to digital printing. Let's look at a commercial print of today. The commercial printers, which in conventional side is also doing very well thanks to large population and movement to tier 2, tier 3 markets. But today, 2,400 units, Ramu, are coming to India every year. Konica Minolta, Xerox, Ricos, 2,400, and this number was in 2017, 1,200 machines. Yeah. So 1,200 to 2,400 machines in 9 years tells a story what's happening in digital print when it comes to commercial printing. In digital, monocarton, it's still a very different market. India is a market which requires mid to high volumes. It is still not the market which requires very short volume. Thanks again to the demographic and the population base and the way we are structured, the way brands are producing products for India. But if you look at the labels and the flexible side, digital is doing very, very well. If there are 50 flexo machines sold, there are 10 digital machines sold, which means it's 20%, which is not a bad number for digital to come from a base which was 0 to reach to a number of 20 machine. Go to book printing. 5 years back, 3 years back, 5 machines, 7 machines. In last 1 year, 30 inkjet machines have come to India. They're completely changing the book printing space. The crossover between digital and offset, which was about 500 books, has changed to 1,500 books. 30 machines in last 6 months, mono and color, landing to India tells you a story. I can tell you the growth of digital inkjet printing in books is higher than the number of offset machines being installed. So digital is growing. It is growing in pockets. It is finding its own business model. There are certain spaces where the digital business model is still very weak. Weak because the capex costs are very high. Weak because the behavior of the market is very different. But now it is not something, it's a mainstream. Digital cannot be said as something which will come up. It's become a mainstream technology. The growth rates and the acceptance of digital is different in different pockets.
Got it.
For it to become mainstream in every segment of the market, it will still take time. It is at about 6% of Indian print today, overall print. That's a number we continue to gather.
Okay.
We see this number quickly moving towards 10%, and 10% of Indian print industry is 12,000 crore, which is a very, very large number.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that's up.
So the boxes you've ticked are photo albums, labels, and to some extent books.
Book printing. These are three areas
I'll
where...
come back to inkjet.
Sure.
I have my own theory. So yeah, Murali, you want to add something?
Yeah, I'll add something related to these digital labels which we are printing in India. 10 years before, when we started this business of digital exclusive focus, our overall business in sheets, we will get only 1% of the business will come from the digital printing. And now in 10 years we are doing almost 27-28% of the business of overall sheet business, which is coming from the digital business alone. And we are forced to go to the digital printing, and then because of the premiumization, even if you want to do personalization, variable data, so we are forced to go to the digital printing. And moreover, this digital printing nowadays, the cost is coming down. Earlier the operating cost was very high.
True.
So people don't want to go to digital printing. And now the machinery manufacturers have started working on it. So the cost is coming down, and then most of the people are showing interest to move to the digital printing.
Sure, got it, thanks. Just quickly, inkjet, and then my pet subject, sustainability, which we'll spend some time on. So inkjet, the sense I get is a lot of these entry-level kind of thing, or at the top of the end you have a Prosper or a TPH kind of a machine. So basically 2 questions. Is it only for the big daddies to invest in inkjet, and if not, who are the target? I mean, I know there is this one printer in Pune who has invested in the Chinese.
So if you look at all the digital technologies, Ramu, whether liquid toner, dry toner, LEP, inkjet, multiple other technologies which are there in existence from very long, and every technology is trying to find space. Inkjet is one technology which, Ramu, is not for the big daddies. It's actually a technology for Aam Aadmi.
Okay.
It's a technology for all. The reasons are very simple. Inkjet is very simple to make. What you need is basically heads and system. If it's for a newspaper printing, you need a whole design for newspaper. But the overall system is very simple. You just need to engineer it right. So one, it's a technology for all. It's not technology only for the big daddies. It's going to be HPs and other players who would play at the top end of the pyramid. In terms of acceptance of inkjet technology, quality has significantly improved over a period of time. Book printing is one space where inkjet will disrupt the entire market in 5 years. Crossover of 1,500 books itself is a big number, because if you look at the entire book printing and divide that book printing into trade books, education books, higher education books, large part of education books other than the NCRTs and the school books, the volumes are going down. You know, publishers don't want you to print for entire year. They don't want to keep the inventories. The models are shifting from 10,000 book to 1 book model. The cost of keeping inventories is very, very high. So inkjet will get a very good attraction in a book printing space. This 30 machine number we are expecting to go to 500 in next 5 to 6 years. The ticket size starts at about 60 lakh rupees, goes up to 12 crores and 20 crores and 25 crores
of course
for Prospers and HP page whites. But then depending on kind of solution you want. Inkjet is also getting a very good traction in specific packaging spaces where the color coverages are not very high. Look at the pharma space where you don't have a very high coverage, and it requires a lot of customization. It requires a lot of data authentication. You need QR codes. So those are spaces inkjet is finding a very good traction. Moving forward, because of the design of inkjet technology, which is very simple, the design of machines which are easy to make, which are easy to engineer, my view, 5 years down the line, inkjet would dominate the digital printing space. There will be only 1 or 2 technologies, and other technologies will start to move out. And every digital company who is either into toner, either into LAP, will make inkjet as the best possible solution for them. So inkjet will dominate the world in next 5 years, and they'll disrupt almost every printing space, every printing segment, Ramu.
Sure. I have 2 more questions about paper, but I'll do that later. So sustainability, I'll just come to that, and then we'll come to some fun rapid fire questions. So of course, EPR is going to be sort of announced in April. There is the plastic ban. There's various government regulators on the sustainability. Just curious to know that because adhesive plays such a critical part, especially for the flexible packaging converters and the mono carton guys, something that Pidilite's been driving on the sustainability front, and especially the definition of this term called circular economy. And what have you been doing on that? And if you can share, one case study with us.
So by law, we've been mandated to collect 70% of our drums.
Correct.
Comes back to a factory. We clean it. We have to refill it and send it back.
Yeah.
And and for our scale, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to figure out a way to do that. So where we'll have collection agents across the country who will collect it, who will clean it, and then find a way to bring it back to a factory for refilling.
Yeah.
And we're trying to see if we can move to liners, where the liners can be discarded, where the drums can come back clean, and then we refill it. Because when you refill an adhesive into an unclean drum, there's all chances of it getting having some bacterial formation, fungus formation in it. So you have to clean it thoroughly before filling it up. So that's the challenge thrown to us. So we're trying to figure that out. At the same time, what we're also doing is we've done one change last year, is where we have moved, we have used about 33% recycled plastics in our drums.
Nice.
So our drum is basically a 3-layer structure. So the outermost layer is virgin, the middle layer is recycled, and the inner layer is virgin. So we've saved about 200 tons per annum of virgin plastic by doing this. And this is only for one product line, so we're going to do it across the board. So that's at the kind of recycling or reuse or reduce. As per this 3 cycle, we are trying to reduce the plastic consumption at the startup itself. And then we'll have all these drums coming back to us for recycling. So that will, we'll have a repeat, maybe usage of 8 to 10 times before it's discarded finally. So we're doing multiple activities around this.
So. Just a quick follow-up. I mean, there was this sort of interaction we had with Sudhanshu Vats when he was the chief guest. So at that time, I think he was enumerating a few things: reducing waste, promoting recyclability, enhancing resource efficiency, all the usual boxes that need to be ticked. And he said the problem that seems to be with players such as Pidilite, I mean, you're obviously larger than life, is the fact that you do a lot of things very, very well, but that side of the fence, in that sense, there's a massive knowledge gap. This is not getting percolated there, and so you have one set of sort of stakeholders in the system who are super efficient, and then the others who are lagging behind in the sustainability game, which in a sense also gives the industry. So any possibility of that coming together, I don't know how, digital apps, some clever, tracking systems, something.
No, Pidilite is uniquely positioned because we also have a large B2C business.
Correct.
And we also sell our B2B product to the same industry. So we know both ways. We're sitting on both sides of the table in a sense, So what we feel is whatever we sell to our customers, most of the demand for sustainable products is driven by the brand. Okay, the brand comes and asks our customer, a converter, to move away from lamination, for instance, or they want to avoid met poly. The metallized layer has to be avoided. So all these demands come directly from the brand. It comes to the converter, and then it helps us design products accordingly. So that flow is happening. So we don't need to go and educate a customer on something new. The flows, there's always a reverse flow from the other side. On the brand side also, what we are doing is, in many of our brands that we do, we have tried to avoid lamination altogether.
Nice.
Okay, so that's already there. So in terms of trying to reduce the amount of plastics which we are doing, we are trying to go into paper laminates. The paper can be used along with alu. So we're trying to look at those. Those are things that we have already qualified and kept in the back. It's already done. Once the government regulation comes into place, then we will be launching.
Start moving. Great.
So we are doing both what a customer does and what we do as a supplier.
Understood. Right. Murali, for you, again, related to sustainability, I mean, I know that Avery is doing a lot in terms of reducing carbon footprint. So then there's the obvious thing, FSC, etc. There's 3 things that you do which are interesting. One is responsible sourcing, correct? And then there's reducing of material usage, which seems to be downgauging, seems to be everything else. And clean flakes. So again, how does this work, and to what extent does it actually benefit your partners?
Yes, Ramu sir, actually you told 3 R, but we are using 4 Rs actually. Responsible sourcing is the main thing which we are doing it.
Clever.
And recycling the products, so that also we are doing. And then we are using recycled content in our products also. And we are reducing the material usage. So right now I am using 50 micron product for a filmic material.
Nice.
So how I can able to make it 36 micron product. So the requirement should get meet for the customers and then end user and brand. But in a way that I can able to reduce the material cost, and then the wastage of the material also I need to reduce, and usage of the material also we need to reduce. So in that way we are working on the 4R categories. And apart from that, we are doing the liner recycle program also. There are 2 ways we are doing it. One is the converter end, we are collecting the matrix of the things,
yes.
matrix recycle, so that we are taking it from the converter end. And the end user end, where they are dispensing the label and the liner will be collected from them, and then we are sending it to the paper mills, and then it has been recycled as in tissue paper and other byproducts from the paper industry. That is also getting recycled at our end.
Sure.
So these two are the major thing, and then in a year almost 6,500 metric ton we started last year. We recollected the material from the market, and we have recycled also.
Yeah. And liner would be, just for my understanding, 50% of the total waste?
Yeah, almost the liner will be close to 50% in some products. Even in the filmic products, if you see, it will be close to 65% also.
So
36 micron with the 130 GSM liner, so it will be the
makes sense.
mixer.
Yeah. One interesting thing I'd seen in fact, at that iLab was, let me see, I'll read this, wash-off label solutions. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and again, that was kind of interesting because of, I think 2 brands were using it and how it was sort of being used for sustainability. Any other such sort of case study? And more importantly, if you can just tell us what wash-off label.
Yes. The wash-off label, which we have recently invented close to 2 years before we started, and then supplying to most of the liquor manufacturers in India, mainly the bottles which is coming for the recycle. The label, removing the label and then removing the adhesive from the bottle is a major challenge for them. So what we have made the recycle, easy recycle of this bottle, and then reuse the bottle to that filling again and then resending to the market. So we made a specialized adhesive which can able to dissolve in water, and then this adhesive and then the label will come out easily from that bottle, and then they can able to reuse it easily.
Nice.
Usually overnight soaking in water, or adding some caustic soda and then increasing the temperature by 70 degrees. So by this kind of activity we can able to speed up the recycling and removing the labels also.
Sure. Just a question for you, Amit. I mean, so we recently, I think last week, we had something called the Asia SOP Award, which SIS hosts. It's for the World Star, and I think there were about 100, 200 awards which were given out to many people in the industry. And we were chatting with some of the packaging designers and brands, basically product managers, etc. And 2 or 3 things, this is actually a follow-up to the question I asked Ashok, is that there's basically a lack of structured design module of how to create packaging in any which form, you know, and so everybody is talking by the rule book which their company has given them, which follows certain CSR, sustainability reports, etc. But obviously you people, understand the science behind it and obviously the technology behind it. Just curious to know, is there a possibility of, you know, starting something maybe from scratch, which is probably a possibility to educate and upskill at source, mainly designers, thinkers, ideators, whatever you want to call them, basically to understand the sustainability quotient in these items. Doable or just, again, one of those dreams?
I was, Ramu, I was in one of a conference in Barcelona 2 weeks back. And it's an interesting way one of the speakers started his conversation. It's coming back to your point that what do we do from the scratch, okay? And his opening statement during that conversation was, we are not the sustainable industry. And that's a fact, you know, and we were all like looking at him and said, what is this gentleman saying? And today if you look at the entire print industry, the kind of paper, chemical, plates, inks, everything we use, we actually have a lot of carbon footprint, okay? And the major challenge where I think Satish ji, you know, PrintWeek, everyone, every customer, every one of us have to come together. The sustainability has become a bit of a fancy word. There are people who are doing it, there are people who are completely ignorant about it. They just do not want to have that conversation. And the most important at this point of time, the way, you know, we are growing, the economy is growing, and growing economy has its own set of challenges. It's very important that we all come together and first define the sustainability. First acknowledge that we are one industry which has a very high level of carbon footprint. And then define that what do we do to reduce carbon footprint. We can't eliminate it. You know, we're gonna use paper, we're gonna use inks, we're gonna be in an industry. So the first most important, Ramu, and I think that's a submission to everyone here, is to start acknowledging that we are an industry which creates a carbon footprint. We are an industry which has a responsibility to reduce carbon footprint in every step. And this one thought of coming together should get initiated somewhere so that the entire industry starts to work, not the few printers. In terms of what you said, I think the Indian Institute of Packaging is doing a lot of work around creating the designs which are, every time you make a box, it goes into a truck goes onto the shelf. The design element of packaging plays a very, very important role because it's just not creation of that box. From creation to the shelf to the customer end, it creates a lot of difference the way it is moving because every part of the journey has a carbon footprint. At TechNova, we've been doing a lot of stuff around it. Our entire focus and Mr. Parekh's and Sheena, we keep talking green is like way of living green for us. We've been bringing out a lot of green range of plates. We have introduced 3 different type of green plates during PrintPack. We are completely zero liquid discharge company. We do a lot of great stuff around sustainability at our place. We do a lot of energy conservation, value addition exercise at customer place. So all that is what we are doing. So one submission here, let's come together and start working to get to
something like an industry consortium or something like that. Doable, Ashok?
Yeah. Actually, we started.
Easier said than done, really.
Right. Yeah. We started focusing on this carbon footprint as an Indian, both the plants.
Yeah.
In 2050, we want to go for a net zero. So as an Indian target, India target was 2070. So we want to go in 2050 itself the complete net zero carbon footprint by doing the additional activities like renewable energies and other things. Anyway, as Mr. told, we cannot able to reduce it or we cannot able to avoid it completely.
Sure.
But the way where we can able to do something to compensate it, that we are started doing.
Trying to do something. Okay, Ashok, you want to add something quickly?
No, I think we can do a bit for sure.
Sure.
But a lot of it for us is derived demand,
That's
so someone asks for it and then we give what they want.
Right.
As long as someone is not asking it, that there's very little we can do. But I feel a lot of the large multinationals globally are talking of 2025 or 2030. They have targets set for these kind of objectives, and they're working towards that.
Sure.
So we are seeing some changes in some packaging formats. But an en masse shift is not possible.
And cost sometimes plays a part. I mean, when PET is costlier than our PET.
They're willing to pay a bit of a premium initially, but they expect that gap to be narrowed in due course.
In due course, I think the key is to narrow that gap and quickly. All right, I have a sort of quick takeaway, like a fun session. So what I've done is, we had 4 excellent speakers. We had Dr. Frank, we had the 2 Anils, Anil Rego and Anil Nagmade, and then we had, of course, Ayush. And all of them seem to have some key points in their presentation, so I've jotted them all down carefully. Because, all 3 of you represent, huge behemoths in a way, and number 1. Number 2 is that you've all been in the industry for a substantial, so you've seen then and you've seen now. I think one of the things they were all alluding to is that, the transition that we are doing or the metamorphosing. So the stuff is then and now, just to give a quick comparison and see if there have been any lessons learned. So I'll start off with you, Amit, since you're familiar with my style of interrogation. So customers then versus customers now, because this came up a lot in all 4 presentations.
Customers then, happy, patience, a smile used to work for customers.
Okay.
Customers today demanding even in 10 minutes delivery, they are not happy.
Okay.
So it's a very, very different world. It's a world which is driven by speed. Okay. And it's very different than what used to be.
What it used to be. The 2 of you want to add?
The customer then was based on relationship and other things. And then now the latest customers are mostly highly professionalized and high demand as far as.
All right. Okay.
I think there's far too many players in most of the industries that we operate.
True.
There's tendency for this herd mentality, Everyone is going this way, let me also go this way.
Sure.
So we have seen in some industries customers going bust within a year of operations. So I really wonder, have they really had any business plan in place? They have nothing. They see everyone else doing it, so we also jump into it.
Correct.
So as long as that is refrained from, then I think
Eliminated.
it will do a lot of good for us.
Super. Basics, Ashok, we'll start with you. Basic service then versus basic service now. This will be from your side. Customer service.
Service is considered to be the very basic thing, and there's nothing negotiable there.
Okay.
So customers are spoiled for choice.
Yes.
So they expect service to be the very basic denominator for everything.
Sure.
So there's nothing negotiable.
But I've heard about Pidilite guys being on the job almost like adhesive doctors. Sometimes problem solving for a customer.
Do we have a choice? Do we have a choice?
Right.
Actually, the service which we used to provide earlier is only the material supply and on-time delivery. So these are the things. Now, whatever the value-added services we used to call it as, so that become mandatory now, and then we should do that. Otherwise, we could not able to add any value to
Right.
7 days, 7 minutes. I think the whole industry has shifted from a basic service to a value addition. Today's customer expects you to be great in terms of what you do. They do not expect you to come and talk about general transactional technology. They expect the meetings to be very sharp, business model driven. There's a lot of value addition, shortage of time, and people expect suppliers to be on toes, constantly talking about newer technologies. And I think the world we live in, the technology world, AI world we live in, it's going to be very, very demanding.
Okay, fair enough. Starting with you now, forecasting of orders in the good old days and forecasting of orders now.
Experience and gut driven, that
Still?
used to be the past.
Yeah.
And today is AI.
Okay.
It has to be now, it has to be yesterday.
Sure.
It's very unpredictable. COVID
Taught us
many, many lessons, how unpredictable it can be.
It can get, yeah.
Yeah. Earlier people used to carry inventory and other things.
Yeah.
So the forecast they used to give, and then they used to plan for the future inventory also.
Sure.
Nowadays it become just in time. And maybe the pattern has changed because of the COVID and then other implications, and people don't want to invest much on the inventory.
Yeah.
So these kind of things, and the demand fluctuation was too high nowadays.
Yeah, true.
So we cannot able to predict it. So
Yeah.
that's the reason it is
Yeah.
getting changed.
Yeah. Ashok?
Forecasting for us has been a challenge because there are too many demand swings happening.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of external events like either the geopolitical situation or the Red Sea issue that we are facing now. Many things are beyond our control.
Correct.
So forecasting is a huge challenge.
Yeah.
So we're trying to rationalize our products and all that, so we have a shorter set of products to work with.
Sure.
That makes things easier for us.
And also shorter turnaround times, for almost all of you all. Yeah. Margins now, because this is something I hear across the board, yes. We'll start off.
Stretched beyond the limit.
Stretched beyond the limit, yeah. Because that came up in there,
So margins for the conventional way of working, whatever we are doing, in that margin is eroding. And the innovation and the new things, new concept which we are bringing, so that is exponential, and then we can able to earn more.
Yep. You want? Short, Amit.
Thick and happy was a time. Thin and nervous nervous is the time now.
Okay. SKUs then versus SKUs now?
Few quick decisions. Now even the warehouses are confused. There are so many SKUs. The decision making has become really challenging because of too many options available.
Yeah. So do you have an algorithm in your head? Yeah.
Building one.
Pretty much. Murali.
In our specifically in our products, we used to have close to 5-6 SKUs for offset and 2-3 SKUs in digital. And now we are having close to 35 SKUs in offset and 18 SKUs in digital. In size wise, if you go, it will be close to 350 nowadays. And earlier we used to operate
a
only.
series of short terms. Is it like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely like that, and we got to be nimble. We got to be agile and be changing fast.
The technological shift and then digital transformation and other things is creating the business cycle very short nowadays.
Right.
No, very short and highly unpredictable.
Highly unpredictable. Yeah. Sustainability then and now? Last one.
Sustainability then was use the product till the time it can be used.
Correct.
Sustainability now is more about recyclability, circular economy. Consumers have become very, very demanding.
Yeah, yeah.
Now everyone is forced to do sustainability because we are responsible for this environment, and then sustainability is not for today, and the sustainability is for the future, and then for the future generation.
Sustainability appo and now.
Sustainability earlier was what to say, it is as told, it is based on till the time when we are forced to do it, and then now it is part of the things which we need to do, and it is compelled to do. It's not for today, it is for future and for the future generations.
Ashok, last word.
So sustainability can't be ignored anymore. You could afford to ignore it a few years back, but not anymore.
Sure.
And the more you get onto that bandwagon, it gives you the right to do the business. You know?
Sure.
It's about the right, having the right to do that kind of business. Yeah.
Sure. All right. I started off with this whole example of the Ranji Trophy and the finals between Kerala and Vidarbha, and hopefully Kerala wins the Ranji Trophy and the thing. One, because we are here in Kochi and the seniors from the industry are part of it. So obviously everybody's been talking of that little sauce, secret sauce that Kerala industry requires to make it move forward. So the question for you is, what is that one thing that you think probably the printing and packaging industry in Kerala should do, based on your example in the rest of the 28 states of India?
I think I've always, our number says that packaging industry in Kerala has been, there's been little focus on the packaging side of the business in Kerala. There's one area because of the global connect Kerala has.
Because of the ports?
Yeah.
And the expats.
Yes, expats. So I think this is one area, if industry focuses for export market, it can give good results. And especially now when India is becoming China +1, the real China +1.
Sure. Murali?
Yeah, when one of our customer, Noble sir, has invested heavily in the printing industry, that time itself I told him that within Kerala, if you are investing this, you cannot able to manage it, so you have to look for out of Kerala. So where and all you can able to export it, where and all you can able to bring orders, do it in Kerala and then send it to outside.
Sure.
So that we need to do for Kerala, because we have very limited business and very limited area in Kerala. So we have to think about globally how we can able to develop the business.
Yeah. So packaging and global, all right? Yeah, Ashok.
So quite the same, I mirror what they say. So every time we meet a customer in the Middle East, maybe 4 out of 5 are Malus.
Yes.
So I always wonder, why can't manufacturers in Kerala export more to the Middle East and capitalize on that market, make it one integrated market.
Sure.
But I don't see much action on that. Earlier in the day, I was speaking to one of our customers. They were asking whether you export to the Middle East. He said, no, I've been trying, and kind of that. So I think I'd encourage you guys to to expand more, go into the Middle East market, kind of integrate that to the mainland, and try to grow your business.
Got it. Yeah. So as you're aware, Print and Beyond happens once in every year. It's like the Print Kumbh of Kochi. So in case you're here next year and we invite you and I'm sort of interrogating you again, something that you have on your wish list you hope gets sort of fructified in the industry, something on your wish list that either for the industry or for the Kerala market. So we'll start off with you, Amit, and then one wish list. Something. It can be something fun, it can be fancy.
More growth, more happening, more global. That's a wish list. And for the overall print industry, I believe more stable run in the coming years. I know when you asked about this question, forecasting, I was wondering with Trump or without Trump.
You're right. More label consumption, Murali?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So more installations, more label consumptions, grow more. Yeah. So that's our wish.
Right. All right.
I would say get the brand owners more. Okay. Get them to come and see what you guys have to offer here. Because sometimes the brand owners are a very key component of this whole value chain, So bring them more and, get them to see what you guys are doing. That's the way you can, move the needle.
Yes. All right. Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. You've been 3 fantastic panelists. I'm sorry I was rushing you all. We had a time thing and I think they've shut the AC. Thank you.